shit. So we just got to the boat and, well, it looks like the Dodger is ripped. But unfortunately a Dodger with a giant freaking hole in it is not actually useful. I need you to come down here.
I'm adjusting the boom.
No, like really, seriously, like, that can wait.
Our charge controller was actually smoking.
Welcome back to another episode of Sailing Ixion.
So this is going to be a bit of a different episode because we had a lot of setbacks last week. With all of that,
We're
a little dejected, but the real thing that we're kind of asking ourselves is whether or not this entire electric motor conversion was even worth it.
So our plan was to essentially move everything on board, vote, and then head south to Florida or wherever. So we're going to go back through each of those projects and kind of give how we felt about them, looking back on them. So first up.
So our first big project related to the electric motor was removing our gas engine. I thought that was going to be one of our harder projects. I looked at that engine and I was like, it's been in this boat for nearly 40 years and everything's got to be rusted. Like, I just thought it was going to be blow torches and cutting tools getting these bolts off, and nothing could have been further from the truth. It was literally the easiest part of that project. It was remove a couple of bolts, which came out super duper easy.
I was excited because I was ready to throw this stupid freaking thing out the door. That dinosaur of a machine, designed during World War II. And it was a glorious day, probably one of the best days of my life, seeing that sucker pulled out on the crane.
I know, that was pretty magical.
It was... that's what dreams are made of. And it really gave me a false sense of how the next handful of projects were going to play out.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, the next project from there was installing the electric motor.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that one was actually pretty easy as well. The biggest complication was really waiting for all the components to come in. The new motor mounts specifically took a minute to arrive.
Yeah, and every problem that arose was solved really quickly. I mean, we essentially just slapped that mother in and we were ready to go.
Yeah.
So yet again, we had another project that was like stupid simple. That was literally just a plug and play for about like 2.5 seconds. I thought things were actually going to just be smooth sailing and we'd be in the water by May. Ha!
Yeah.
Please. So... which actually leads us to the next thing, which was installing the Victron.
The Victron Quatro, the inverter and charger. So this is the thing that lets us plug into shore power and charge our batteries. I mean, installation was simple enough. Deciding where to put it, that was the big headache. And we moved it twice. And at first it was outside in one of our lockers. Because of its placement, we would have needed to run 2 sets of wires from the Quattro to our batteries.
And we can't afford that.
Like the big electrical, we use like 1020 wire, and we couldn't afford that run.
And
so we moved it
where it's at currently on the side of the locker.
And I mean, I really don't like that it's there. I honestly hate it, and it drives me to want to redo the entire electrical panel again.
It was not fun having to move that thing because that thing is like stupid heavy.
It is shockingly heavy.
And it's so bright and blue and not exactly the most visually appealing thing, so to have it out in the open.
I mean, it does look nice enough, but like...
But not to have kind of out on the side of a locker.
Here you have this like very woody, a little tan, too tan for my liking. But anyways, it's very like earth tony in here, and then you've got like this giant blueberry.
And then boom, Smurfette right there in your
Smurfette.
face. It makes you want to reconsider doing literally anything ever again, because having to move something that big is not fun.
So
that leads us to the next project.
Yeah.
The batteries.
Installing the batteries.
And the box.
Also, another big headache. This was in part because of, you know, our own measurement incompetence. I will be the first to own the mistakes we make.
What's the saying? Measure what is it? Measure twice, cut once. In our case, it's measure 10 times.
And average.
And still mess up.
Measure 10 times, average the results, and then measure 2 more times for good measure.
And still mess up.
Yeah, probably. I don't know why we have measuring tape deficiencies.
Everything's just round in this boat. Like nothing is like solid. It's all got curves.
We forget about the slants sometimes.
It's a curvy little.
Anyways, we had to move those 3 times.
Yeah.
First, it was going to go where the gas tank used to be. But ultimately, I had like anxiety dreams about having it there. It was so close to a seacock, and all I could imagine was that seacock not working, and there goes our electrical, all because of bad placement.
Mm-hmm.
So we moved it. We moved it on top.
And then we moved it again.
Yeah. So we moved it on top, but why didn't we keep it there? We wanted to put the fridge there.
It was a multitude of things.
Yeah. We said the fridge would make more sense to go there. So we moved the battery box.
Which it's right here. We actually never showed that. Like directly underneath here is the battery box, which will eventually get converted into a seat, and this table will get shrunk down, so it then becomes a U-shaped dinette instead of an L-shaped. We never showed that, so no information for you guys. So 3 times that battery box moved, and those suckers are pretty. They're thin, they're small, like they're sleek. It's like modern day, like modernity out the ass. But they're fucking heavy.
I mean, yeah, they're like 50 pounds each. Yeah.
I think if you tell me that you ever want to move those batteries again, I will slap you into a hoverboard. And be like, bye, Felicia, because...
Spousal abuse.
We're not even married yet!
Close enough to. Basically common law in most states.
Massachusetts used to have common law.
I know.
I don't know if they still do.
I don't know.
No. And then that leads us to... project number 5, which was the actual electrical and the wiring, the panel and the...
I mean, that was just tough because we had a lot of components that were adding in and not a lot of space to do it. So that was just like, it was a jigsaw puzzle, and wiring itself was easy, but like, and running all the wires were easy. It was just deciding how the electrical panel would look and what components we needed to add versus remove. Mm-hmm. I feel like half my time was tracing wiring that was no longer relevant. Good design, in my opinion, like that's the ultimate anxiety reducer for me.
And
I look at good design and I'm just like,
you probably don't see it a lot because every time you see us, we're like doing work and not like the cutest clothes and this, that, and the other. But we do care about style, and so trying to get that panel together was like trying to take. Let me think. Trying to take like Cousin It and turning him into like this like blonde bombshell with like a nice ombre. Like it just wasn't gonna happen.
After getting all the electrical done and testing the motor, we were like, if you remember, we were like, okay, done. Let's get in the water. We'll finish the solar once we're in the water.
Nah.
That, my friends, was such a mistake. It was probably the biggest mistake that we made. We launched too early.
Too early by mid-July.
By mid-July, seasonally, we were very late, but based on our projects, it was far too early. And we say that because, like, trying to get accurate measurements when the boat's doing this, and this, and this, and this...
It's impossible.
It doesn't work out.
It doesn't work. And if you've ever seen, like, a 1980s Catalina 30, it's a curvy little beast. He's no flat little thing. Literally, there's not really a flat surface anywhere on deck.
Baby got back.
Baby Dale's got back and top and sides and front. So there was nowhere to put the solar panels except for
The mid-deck.
the mid-deck. And of course, you know, some people are going to be like, well, why didn't you just weld them onto the, you know, the stern rail? And like, do I look like a freaking daughter of a welder? No. That's not happening.
It's funny that you bring that up. I actually hate where we put those solar panels. Like, it hurts to look at.
That brings us to here. To today, present moment.
Yeah.
What was going to be...
So we were getting into, like, finishing things and, like, finishing on the way.
And we were going to head down south. We were done. That was the original plan. And
Well, not just head down south. We were going to finally, like, have a chance to explore Cape Cod before, you know, everything completely shuts down.
as we mentioned,
Cape Cod in winter is...
dead. That was our original plan. But now...
Plans have changed.
Plans have changed.
But let me say, we are still going south.
Yes.
We're still going south. Oh, so big shout out to Midnight Solar. If you remember, we have the Midnight Solar, the kid, and I emailed them with our issue. Literally the day after we had a kick out on us, and they shipped us out one the same day.
It's actually what we're doing next. So after we finish up here with this little talk show,
Yeah.
we're going to be installing the new
Controller.
and hopefully that solves a little bit of our solar issues. Because that one always seemed to have some issues. So, and then it started smoking and screaming at us. So that is actually a problem that we can solve right away.
So, having said that, we're about to build a solar arch. So, we figured if we have to build this entire apparatus, which honestly I didn't want to do till like next year anyways, we're building davits to hoist up our motor and our dinghy, because neither of us we don't like it on our foredeck at all.
So that brings us to the end, which is the question of, was it a mistake? Was it a mistake to remove the gas engine and install electric motor?
You know, I've been dreading answering this question.
You and me both.
You know, honestly, I think this is a question that we're going to have to continually revisit as we sail more. But initially, given the state of the world being what it is, given the state of the world, yes, it was a mistake to remove the motor. Only because we didn't quite have enough support to do it right, and we're trying to get too much done in too short a time. But on the other hand, I also don't think it was a mistake I think this is the right move because we've freed up more space for storage, which, you know, we desperately need, especially living aboard. I mean, like, this is
basically all the storage we
yeah.
have.
It's definitely a lot more expensive to convert than we initially realized.
But still overall fairly cheap.
Yeah, yes, but it was still more expensive than we realized. That's the takeaway. Within our patrons only stuff, we're going to be posting, you know, a cost breakdown for converting to electric soon.
So if you want to see more detailed information on how much we spent to make this happen, you can become a patron, which would actually be super helpful. So for me, it's a bit of a yes and no as well. I had this belief system, and you know, people talk about all the time that living on a sailboat is already in and of itself being green. You're already have such a low carbon footprint, but in my mind I didn't care. I wanted to do everything I could to go further, and so removing an engine that puts out carbon was something I wanted to do.
It contributes to the acidification of the ocean, yeah.
And so, but for me, it was the amount of work that went into doing it. It wasn't just a matter of putting in the motor. It was the electrical and the batteries and the wiring, and it's just for the last 8 months, 9 months have been nonstop work. Partially because of the major install of having to do all of this, and so that's kind of where it's the no. I didn't think it would be that much work. I thought it would be much more simplistic than this. In the long run, going forward, we will save money because we're not putting in gas and we don't have the same level of maintenance.
Agreed.
But we do have to spend the money doing the solar arch and the new panels because we want to have enough to live off of to have some of our slight creature comforts. I don't really want to talk about it because I don't talk about money a lot, and this is where the no came from. But this is to be expected with a boat. Is it probably looks like we're spending a ton of money, and on some degree we are. And I promise you that we're not rolling in the dough. We both were hit by the pandemic. Everything that we did work-wise was shut down because of the pandemic. This is all savings. We sold a condo in Los Angeles and cleared some debt and have been floating by. Like, this is not we're pouring everything we have into this.
I mean, that sailed. The condo in Los Angeles paid for the boat, but everything else, literally everything else aside from buying the boat, has been savings that's quickly dwindling.
Yes, and so that's why we have Patreon, is so we can continue. We love doing what we're doing, and it's...
I mean, I'll admit that even though the scale is smaller than what we came from, you know, working in commercials in Los Angeles, I gotta say, I never thought I'd enjoy making these videos as much as I do, and I'm ready to, like, double down and make them even better. And I'm so excited to, like, double down and make these videos even better.
If you go to our website, sailingixion.com, you'll see where I talk about the struggle to fit filmmaking into this, because it's so drastically different. And that's why Patreon is kind of so important for us, is just so that we can not only pursue our art and our passion, but also travel and continue sharing these stories with you. We have a unique point of view as one of the only few gay couples doing this, and traveling as a gay couple, also
traveling and making videos as a gay couple.
Just traveling in general as a gay couple has a unique experience that you don't find from every other sailing channel. There's perspectives that we have, just like going to Sailing Uma and seeing Kika being black and from Haiti. She has a unique story about traveling as well. things that you don't find with all the other sailing channels. And with us, that's what you get. You get a unique perspective that you wouldn't see with everyone else. And so, in the end, I'm proud of what we've done. I'm proud. So, in the end...
Was it worth it?
Yes.
I think so too. And I think it will be worth it. The thing we have to keep remembering is we want to sail everywhere. We don't want to motor everywhere.
Exactly.
And
so that is it for this week.
hope we didn't inundate you all too much with our past foibles and successes and all of our reminiscing.
And if you don't already subscribe, we've got some fun projects coming up in the next few episodes, as well as the sail down to Fairhaven.
Like and comment below. Please let us know what you think.
And if it's more skin you're looking for, once we get down south, don't worry, I'll show you all the skin you want to see, guys.
That's it for this week.
Thank you for joining us.
And we'll see you next week.
And ba-da-ba-ba-da-bum, boom.